Look, I'm just saying, if they're allowed to say it, then why aren't we? That's the real racism.
What's up, boys?
Not a whole lot.
I was just reading this article about the best games of 2022.
Yeah, how was it?
There were a lot of games I hadn't heard of on there, but they had some good ones too.
What were some of your favorites on the list?
Well, for one, I'm glad Horizon Forbidden West made it on the list. That game is tragically underrepresented in video game discourse.
There's a reason nobody talks about it, Barack, and it's because the game is mid.
It's actually a pretty good game, Donnie. It takes all the good qualities of the first game and builds upon them, especially with the open world content and side quests.
Big, boring open world full of big, boring gameplay. I'll pass.
All right, Donnie, what games did you like the most from last year?
You guys play Cult of the Lamb? Fantastic game. Sells itself as an action roguelike, but it's just as much a base management game. The action parts of the game are a little short-lived and underwhelming, but the rest of the game makes up for it with personality.
Never thought I'd hear Donald praising a game with management aspects to it.
What can I say? I'm a businessman. It's what I do.
The themes fit imperfectly, though, considering it has cult right in the title.
And what does that mean?
I'm referencing the political cult that follows you around chanting about making America great again.
You're just mad that none of your supporters never had that kind of enthusiasm about you.
Okay, guys, let's settle down a bit. I really enjoyed Pokemon Scarlet and Violet from last year.
Again, about this half-finished pile of shit, those games were bad, Joe. They tricked you into thinking they were good by introducing an open world aspect, but the world is empty and uglier than your old white wrinkly ass.
The games weren't total garbage, Donald. Yeah, it would have been nice if they were actually finished before coming out, but the content that was present in them was decent. They had potential to be better.
The games were fun. That's all that matters to me. Plus, Nimona is a total waifu.
Joe, that's a child?
It's a cartoon.
Oh, my God.
Let's move on.
Speaking of roguelikes, though, Cult of the Lamb looked fine, but I really enjoyed the game Played Up that came out last year.
Haven't heard of that one.
It's a restaurant management roguelike. Think Overcooked with less specific cooking mechanics and instead having mechanics for running your restaurant.
That sounds like it could be fun.
It's a lot of fun. It's a great co-op game, so we should all play together sometime.
That just sounds like Overcooked, but less fun.
Overcooked is a great game, but Played Up has its own place in the couch gaming sphere. The roguelike aspect of it gives it its own reason to be played.
Sounds like fake news to me. Vampire Survivor had its official release last year. You guys try that one out?
Oh, Vampire Survivors was great.
Haven't played it myself.
It's a simple game, but the sheer amount of weapon and passive combinations to combine and experiment with was way too much fun.
Yeah, for looking like such a low-budget game, it really kept me coming back again and again for so many hours.
I put a lot of time into that game collecting achievements. Great game, fantastic game.
You know, Joe, I'm pretty surprised you brought up Pokemon Scarlet and Violet instead of Legends Arceus.
I just like the mainline games better, I guess.
But Legends was such a breath of fresh air for the franchise. It introduced so many new mechanics and livened up the old, stale Pokemon formula.
I just feel like Scarlet and Violet took most of the things that made Legends great and injected them into a better base game.
You got to be shitting me. I didn't like Legends because I know Pokemon hasn't been good since Black and White, but even I know that Legends was better than Scarlet and Violet.
Hey, man, we're allowed to have different tastes.
Not when your opinions are just plain wrong.
Get your head out of your ass, Donald.
You first, Sleepy Joe.
Okay, fellas, let's simmer down.
You know what else I had a lot of fun with last year? Splatoon 3.
Baby shooter game for little babies.
God, you're such an asshole. Splatoon is a fun and unique shooter series that offers entertainment in ways that other shooters don't. It has a completely different PvP experience that appeals to a different kind of audience that I fall into.
Cringe.
What?
You're being so cringe right now. I'll play real shooters like Doom Eternal while you play your little baby game.
I thought Splatoon 3 was fun for a while, didn't keep me hooked long term, but I put some fun hours into it.
You're both cringe.
You're just a pretentious edgelord.
Whatever. You know what's a good first-person shooter with a great twist to it that came out last year? Neon White.
Looked too hard for me, so I never played it.
It's surprisingly intuitive. You should give it a try. You'll probably get farther than you thought you would.
The game's pretty easy, to be honest. I got a lot of fun from replaying levels to get faster and faster clear times.
Yeah, that sounds like your kind of thrill.
I know my times are way better than anything you bozos could pull off.
I think that speaks a lot to the quality of the game by showing that it can be a lot of fun to casual players and hardcore players alike.
And nothing describes you babies better than casual players.
Can you go 5 seconds without being an asshat?
Don't get your panties in a twist, Barack.
Whatever. Stray was a pretty good release from last year.
Stray is such an overrated game.
I loved Stray. What's your problem with it?
It's a game for little girls. There's nothing of substance there for people who actually enjoy playing video games.
You're such an elitist. Not every game has to be a hardcore speedrunning challenge. Some games you're allowed to sit back and enjoy the story and audio-visual experiences without having to push yourself too hard.
Cringe. You're being cringe again.
You know what's cringe? Being a video game elitist like you.
What's real cringe is praising a shallow game like Stray when there are such better games from last year to talk about, like God of War Ragnarok.
Okay, Ragnarok was a pretty good game.
I'm waiting until I can buy a PS5 before I play Ragnarok, but it looked pretty based.
It was very based. It had a great story and visual design to it like you babies love, but paired it with amazing gameplay. The action is smooth and fluid while still packing a punch and making you feel good. It's a man's game for real.
It's always about feeling like a real man with you and your fragile masculinity.
Okay, femboy.
What's wrong with femboys?
Don't ask that, Joe.
Well, for one,
Joe, what's
femboys
another
are...
game you loved from last year?
Kirby and the Forgotten Land for sure. That game was such a blast.
You are such a fucking nintoddler, I can't stand it.
There's nothing wrong with liking Nintendo games. They're fun, they're cute, and they're calming. It's a great way to de-stress and enjoy your free time after a long day at work. It's a lot of work being the president. You remember how hard this job was, right? Since, you don't have the job anymore and I do. Or was it never that hard for you since you barely did the job anyways?
Joe, we're not here to talk about that kind of stuff.
Fine.
Besides, I was the best and hardest working president here.
What the fuck did you
What did you like about the new Kirby game, Joe?
The jump to 3D was amazing. It kept the usual charm that Kirby comes with of colorful and fun levels. A calm and relaxing experience with challenge levels peppered throughout to keep you from being too complacent. Playing around with the different copy abilities is always fun in these games, and the race car segments in Forgotten Lands were fun too. It's overall just a great game to play when you don't want to challenge yourself too much.
What's even the point in playing games if they aren't challenging, though?
Not everyone wants a challenge all the time, Donald. Sometimes it's fun to just lay back and enjoy something with a good story, aesthetic, or soundtrack.
Nah, video games were made to enjoy the challenge.
You know what my favorite Nintendo game of last year was?
Here we go, more nintoddler bullshit.
Xenoblade Chronicles 3 was such an amazing addition to an already amazing series.
Oh God, even worse, he's going into JRPG mode.
Didn't you read Twitter, Donnie? We're not allowed to say JRPG anymore. Yoshi P said it's offensive to Japanese developers.
Joe, he's banned from Twitter. Of course he didn't see that.
Oh shit, you're right. Get fucked, Donnie boy, fat fucking L right there.
I'm going to rip your stomach out through your mouth.
Jesus, Donald, calm down. He's just messing with you.
Must be a sore subject.
Xenoblade Chronicles 3, though, it has peak gameplay, peak world building, and a peak story. Probably one of my favorite RPGs of all time. Now, I know Donald won't play it, but you should really give the series a try, Joe.
Something about the character design turns me off, but if you love it so much, maybe I'll play the first one.
You want to play a real RPG? I've got 2 words for you. Elden Ring.
Okay, I can't even argue you on that one.
I'm not a FromSoft kind of guy, but Elden Ring looked amazing.
It's my #1 favorite Souls-like now. The gameplay is the most refined and optimal that FromSoft has ever produced. The open world design is incredible for a game like this, and the scope is fantastic. So much to do, so much to see. Hidetaka Miyazaki really outdid himself this time. No game last year comes even close to touching Elden Ring, and now they're working on an expansion. FromSoft fans stay winning.
I'm really happy you got a game you loved so much, Donald. I had a lot of fun with Elden Ring, too. Last year was a pretty good year for gaming, wouldn't you say?
I definitely got a lot of new games to play that I enjoyed.
It wasn't half bad. Elden Ring plus a handful of surprisingly good indie games could have been a lot worse.
All right, boys, I'm going to get back to playing Wo Long Fallen Dynasty now.
I feel like playing some rounds of Splatoon 3 after talking about it.
Guess I'll go play the new Dead Cells DLC that just dropped.